Well, let's pass those glasses out then, I guess, because these
Blast those passes.
yeah, these things aren't going to drink themselves. It's our St. Patrick's Day special.
Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
So we have a years-long tradition where when it's your birthday, you get to read the introduction blather.
Read the crawl.
So I usually read this, but since it's Greg's birthday, he gets to read. Yeah, there you go.
Just the ones in italics.
Just
right?
the stuff in italics, yeah. Yeah, I tried to add a little sizzle in there, but you go ahead and include whatever you like.
Welcome back, everyone, to It's a Conspiracy. This is the podcast where we lay out beliefs behind selected conspiracies, alternative accounts, legends, myths, and more. This here is our St. Patty's special. So many shenanigans. So many. I'm your host, Greg, and it's my birthday.
Happy birthday, Greg.
Happy
thank
birthday,
you.
buddy. Yeah.
All the resources gathered for things presented today will be stuck in the episode description. Not that anyone ever looks at it,
Yep.
especially me, for your pursuing pleasure.
Oh, well, good job and happy birthday, man.
I just like how you assume that I know how to
Did
read.
it.
I shouldn't. Yeah. You're assuming I know how to read?
I just look at books and pretend.
That's why I like comics.
Yeah, then you can
Just
actually.
the pictures.
Yeah.
I know what's happening.
Our podcast, just listen.
That's right. Books for my ears.
Speaking of books, Charlie, have you read books?
Yeah.
Have you read pubes?
No. I do not. The carpet matches the drapes, sir.
Just
Dad joke number one.
Yeah, no, that's all. That's number one of many. We had our moratorium on pubes lifted last time, so
Yeah. We had no more moratoriums.
No more moratoriums. On top of that, you might notice we have a fourth voice with us here tonight. We're joined by none other than the delightful Aidan O'Donnell. Yay. He's a bloody, honest-to-God, red-headed Irishman right from the sunny shores of Ireland. And Aidan, it's really good to have you here, man.
Thanks, man. It's good to be here.
Now
Thanks
wait.
for having me.
Now wait. Is he the one who's in charge of the Twitter account?
No, that's the Irish Madman.
That's another Irishman.
Yeah, there's more than one.
Whoa.
I know.
And it's not you.
And there's
No, it's
more
not
than
me,
two.
no.
It's still not you.
Do you really, how inept I am with all things technological?
Yeah,
you really think I could do the Twitters?
It could just be an Andy Kaufman work.
It's nice. It's so funny. No, the guy who, I'll say his name, we'll just bleep it out. His name's and he's one of these computer McNerds.
McNerds.
Yep. Yeah, one of these book people. But yeah, so my name's Andrew. This is Charlie, and we're gonna have a little St. Patrick's Day special. Yay! Really quick, if you would like to keep abreast of what's happening here at It's a Conspiracy, then please check out our Twitter at Is It a Conspiracy? That's run by our Irish Madman. Our Facebook group, It's a Conspiracy. Our Instagram, It's a Conspiracy Podcast, or our email, It's a Conspiracy at protonmail.com. Also, if you would like to hear, if you like what you hear and you want to throw us a couple of lucky shillings, then please head over to the Patreon page.
We need those schmeckles.
Patreon.com/It's a Conspiracy. Yay. Okay, so on with the show. You're supposed to join me with that. You bastards leave me hanging like
You didn't warn us.
Okay, let's try it again. Sorry. Yeah, it's patreon.com/It's a Conspiracy. Yay. Okay, now we're going to try this. There's going to be a little bit of a different thing here. But okay, so Charlie, with a yes or a no, can you tell me if you're familiar with these three things? Number one, some interesting nuggets of gold about St. Patrick's Day.
Maybe? I don't know. I don't know what those nuggets could be.
Number two.
Dank nugs.
Little gold nuggets.
Gold nugs.
Grab them nugs. Number two, who was St. Patrick? No, really. But who was he, and do you know?
No.
Okay. Now, number three, how many fun facts do we have?
We got 2 pages worth of stuff.
Okay. Okay, let's say a few fun facts about black pudding.
A few fun facts about black pudding.
Yeah. We got about 6 of that.
There we go. 6 fun facts about black pudding. Okay, cool. So our topic number 1, some interesting nuggets of gold about St. Patrick's Day.
Some interesting nuggets of gold about St. Patrick's Day.
Dank nugs.
St. Patrick's Day, or the Feast of St. Patrick, is a celebration of the St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland. We'll get some more information about that guy in a second here, but here's a few interesting nuggets of gold to stuff in your face. St. Patrick's Day is a public holiday in the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. It is also a holiday in the Canadian provinces of Newfoundland. And I didn't write this down, but there's a tiny island country in the Caribbean, like Montserrat.
Yeah, Montserrat too. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
right.
a public holiday there.
It's a public holiday there. Hugely religious country, I believe. So I don't think the underlying things are because of that.
Like the religious angle as opposed to the party.
More than the cultural side of things, yeah.
So, and we've talked about this before, but the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. So where are you from?
I'm from Donegal, which is in the Republic of Ireland. It's the most northerly part of the country. It's right on the border with the north.
Right.
So some people get confused sometimes as to where it lies, but it's
Which
in the south, but it's right on the border with the north. Yeah.
Is it a straight line across? Like Republic kind of stops. There's like a straight line that just goes, and then you're on one side, you're on the other.
Yeah, no, it's not a straight line like all the provinces and states of like North America, but like yeah, it's right up there in the north. It's the most northerly part of the island. So,
right. And can you, if you wanted to, like if you were saying Donegal, could you just like hop on your bike and just kind of zip into?
You can zip in Northern Ireland, no problem at all. Maybe in a month's time when Brexit kicks in, it might be a little harder, but
is that going to happen?
That's it. It's happening, isn't it?
It is happening. Yeah.
Is it? Oh,
I think
okay.
so. Yeah.
They did the thing. They voted the stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Do you think they're just going to be like, psych, we'll stay?
Well, they will.
Just
'Cause
jokes.
They really fucking dropped the ball.
Yeah, because because the other day I thought the Prime Minister of England was like, oh, never mind, this isn't going to happen because we can't agree on what to do.
It's just like, how there's some lazy people who don't, they're going on a trip a trip in a couple of days and they wait till like the night before to pack. Maybe it's just like that.
Yeah.
Just going to wait till the night before and they'll be just throw everything in a bag and get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Metaphorically.
And it's just like that when a country leaves an old established union. It's just like going on a trip.
GTFO.
I've seen my passport.
Yeah. But so one of the things that I really love about St. Patrick's Day is it's like Irish pubs. It is celebrated in countries all across the world. Mm-hmm. And apparently it is the most celebrated, the most widely celebrated national festival in the entire world. So a few countries that do like huge things are the UK, Canada, the US, Brazil, Argentina, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Malaysia, South Africa, Montserrat, and like all over the place. Those are a few countries who really get into this whole thing. So it's incredible. Like, there's if you go to Zaire, there's going to be an Irish pub, and there could probably very well be a St. Patrick's Day parade, which is bizarre.
Yeah, might be like 10 people in it, but it'll be a parade.
Yeah, there'll be a parade. Yeah. Well, I guarantee if you go to Zaire, you're probably not going to see a Canada Day parade. Like there might be one guy like waving a flag and getting loaded. You just kind of out on the street, but
trying to watch a hockey game.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're just going to talk a few things about these the gold nuggets of St. Patrick's Day. The nuggets of St. Patty. One of the most celebrated traditions of the St. Patty's festivities is wearing green clothing to celebrate the Emerald Isle. I should apologize in advance. I'm going to try to do an Irish accent here. It's going to be...
He nails them all
Normally
the
my
time.
accents are just bang on, but yeah.
It's more authentic than mine.
Yeah. The common practice is to wear green in order to stave off pinches from your fellow celebrants. Now, this is going to be a common thread in here. So, the common tradition is to wear green because you're going to pinch someone if they're not wearing green, just like the leprechauns do. Now, Aidan, in Ireland, if you're not wearing green, would someone pinch you?
Never had it done to me ever before.
Okay.
But it's funny you said the colour green is vastly associated with St. Patrick. When I was doing some research for this tonight, like his first colour that was associated with him was blue.
Blue.
For some reason, I'm not really sure why, but that faded in time, and then the colour green, which Ireland is strongly associated with, just became the colour that got put on him then. So yeah, I noticed that.
A bunch of blue leprechauns, I think they call those Smurfs.
Yeah. Maybe in the north they call them the blue leprechauns, in the south they're the green.
And what I'm going to do is here, I'll list off a couple things, and I think most of these, we'll see how this goes. Another huge aspect of St. Paddy's Day is the familiar tradition of "Kiss Me, I'm Irish," which has roots to the famous Blarney Stone in Ireland. Apparently, if you kiss a moss-covered boulder, you'll get good luck and all of the cold sores right on your face. Yeah, isn't that nice? And never mind the fact that if, like I maybe this is just my immature brain, but just like I told you guys, I was in the buffet that one time and I'm like, oh, that's a chocolate thing and you can put fruit in it and eat it. And the kid in front of me put his hand in there and just started eating it like a chocolate mitten. If there was some kid like myself at 10 years old being like, hey, everybody kisses that rock, I would be inclined to be like, I'm going to well, it's good luck. Sit down on the rock with my bum. Or somebody's going to pee on it.
Yeah, loads of people piss in it all the time.
So
don't ever kiss the Blarney Stone if you're in Ireland.
Unless you're into that kind of thing. If you that's fine. But yeah, no, it's become one of those things where people are like, they wear the shirts and all that kind of stuff. Now, Aidan, do Irish people just kiss each other right on the lips on St. Patrick's Day?
I found since I've been here in Canada, quite a few Canadian girls have kissed me on St. Patrick's Day, which I'm not against. It's been pretty nice.
Oh, okay. But not so much back home.
Not so much back home. Yeah, you're just another,
another guy.
Yeah, another guy.
Yeah, if you saw someone with a cold sore, would you still kiss them?
Depends how many pints of Guinness we might have had in the build of that. But no, definitely not.
Noted. Oh, okay, definitely not. Okay, that was you had my hopes up there.
I was going to say, Andrew, you look disappointed.
A little disappointed. Yeah, I've got a tradition, and my body just decided it. It's like every St. Patrick's Day, I get a cold sore that just flares up.
Keeping you safe.
I don't know what's going on. You guys will see it. You guys will see it. It's coming up this weekend, and I'll keep you abreast.
I've only ever kissed you in the cheek, Andrew.
Yeah, no. Totally. Wait a minute. What if I didn't have a cold sore? So it is customary to drink beer on St. Paddy's. Dyes and food coloring are typically added to light beers, but it has become popular in recent years for big brewing companies to actually make kegs full of green beer. I saw one of these the other day at the liquor store. You can actually get. It's not like we've just thrown some green food coloring in like a batch of whatever. You can get green beer.
They actually do. Yeah, the Grand Prairie Brewing Company up in Grand Prairie, they approached us. So I work in Finn McCool's in the City Centre Mall, and this is not a plug.
No.
But no, we carry one of the beers on the draft line, and they approached us a few months ago to see if we wanted to put on a green keg of lager like that they specially made. But the idea of it sounds good, but after St. Patrick's Day comes and goes, like you don't want to be stuck with a quarter of a keg of green beer that nobody else wants. Was
that True North Brewing?
No, Grand Prairie, GP Brewing,
GP Brewing,
fantastic local brewery. Yeah.
Yep. I don't know those guys, but the other brewing company in Grand Prairie, I went to school with those guys. I grew up in GP. Yep. Where it's fine to kiss people with cold sores. We don't judge. So green beer was a slang used up until the 1930s, where there was this. And I'm going to mispronounce this, but it was a term for improperly fermented beer. So if beers aren't brewed correctly, there's a chemical called here we go. Acetaldehyde that can form and possibly turn the beer green. This chemical can cause blindness, indigestion, and even death. So modern brewing techniques have made it this. It's not a thing anymore. It's virtually non-existent. But it's funny that the custom of drinking green beer for St. Paddy's Day came out when everyone would have been aware of this. So the first recorded instances of people drinking green beer was like in the 20s. Okay. And it was still in the 30s. They were like, oh, if the beer's green, yeah, like don't drink it. Yeah. So it's just a kind of a funny thing. Now, Aidan, do Irish people put green dye in their beer on St. Paddy's Day?
Yeah, they would have started doing it. It's not a thing that they look upon with a lot of pride or anything.
Is this a recent thing?
Yeah, I think it seems to be more countries outside of Ireland seem to do it a lot more, like to try and become more Irish or whatever, or feel more Irish. So Irish people don't like to do that, but I guess it carries over there, and people start doing it over there now as well. So sacrilege.
Yeah. Speaking of dying things, our puppies both died. Oh no, that's terrible. Sorry, that's really dark. We had these. The puppies are fine. I'm sorry.
I'm glad that you can laugh about this, Andrew.
Yeah, especially after I tell everybody on Instagram that they're doing fine.
No, they're fine. They're fine. Yeah, they're fine. The podcast puppies are fine. Sorry. Speaking of dying things, as in the color, Chicago, which hosts one of the biggest St. Paddy's celebrations in the entire world, attracting, this is mind-boggling, 400,000 people for the parade. Just the parade.
That's
like,
insane.
That's crazy. And that's not including the people in the parade. Like that's to watch the parade. They made an annual practice of dyeing the Chicago River green for one full day. This practice runs all the way back to the 1960s and was originally developed as a means of spotting sources of pollutants in the water. A cunning mayor of the city way back in the day realized the potential of this practice and arranged the local plumbers union to do this along with the festival. So I guess apparently they were like, there was stuff getting in the water and they were like, they couldn't figure out where it was. So by adding green dye to the river, they were able to locate where all the gross stuff that was making the river really like dangerous and toxic. And then the mayor was like, "Oh, hey, that's it. Let's turn it green."
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. Doesn't that look great?
We should start doing it in the North Saskatchewan River here in Edmonton.
Yeah, man. And so they started doing this every year. The dye is a very, very closely guarded secret, and it's different than it used to be. It was a huge environmental threat because it hadn't changed since the 60s until sometime in the mid 90s when the recipe was changed to an orange vegetable-based dye. So it's actually orange and it turns green when it hits the water. Have you guys seen the green? Like, we'll include some pictures in the episode description, but have you guys seen this before?
No. The Green River?
I've seen it, yeah. It's amazing. It looks really cool. Like,
Have you seen it in person?
Not in person, no, just in online and stuff. But yeah, it looks really cool. Like.
Oh man, it's amazing. And it's vivid.
It sounds tacky, like the whole idea sounds tacky, but it looks really cool.
There's a movie, a really good movie, and I accidentally misquoted this the other day, but yeah, not Green River Killer, Charlie. Green River.
That's a different thing.
So the Clint Eastwood movie Mystic River, I believe, has a scene during St. Patrick's Day in Chicago, and look at that, man. That's amazing.
It's so cool, yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. All right, so
But it reminds me of like something like Joker did some shit in Batman.
it totally does.
Totally does,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
This is right before like the fear toxin makes everybody.
Yeah. Scarecrow's about to run amok.
Evacuate the city.
Brand X all up in your face.
Yeah. So it is the Plumbers Union that still do this. The Chicago, one of the branches of the Chicago Plumbers Union. But apparently there are only ever 6 people that know the secret, and you have to be. There was 2 families that originally put this together. The 6 people have to be related by blood to the original 2 families who started this in the union.
So good reason for incest, the whole thing.
Hey, like we need a good reason. Come on. So there's 6 people. They get in a boat, they go out into the river, and they dump in the dye. And when one of them dies, they get replaced by another person who's related.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder how many barrels does it take of the dye to carry.
It's got to be a lot, right?
It's 1 barrel.
Just one.
That's just one barrel.
One. Yeah. So okay. So the recipe for this barrel, and this, I'll include the links. So I mean, this whole thing is shrouded in secrecy, so nobody even knows. The whole thing with the guys in the boat, that could not even be what's actually happening. It could be like a classic distraction, where it's actually like on the other end of the
Real
source of the river or whatever. Yeah, a really good misdirect. Oh, that's the guys in the boat there with the bag. The recipe remains a secret, and apparently the cost does too, because it's still funded by the local plumbers union. And the last time the cost was leaked, this was someone in the 70s who was probably shot full of bullets like minutes afterwards. They're like sneaking out the secrets and then just like apparently it was $133 a minute. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but
okay. But how many minutes?
So yeah, that's okay. So $133 a minute for 24 hours. Yeah. So in 1970s money, that was over $190,000 for one day. Yeah, that's a lot of money, and that's in 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's like $1 million.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing it nowadays, and like you said, they have 400,000 people descending on the city for that day. Then it's definitely worth it.
Oh, it's worth it. I mean,
enough,
it's a huge attraction. Like, and that's probably the key thing.
Yeah.
Never mind that there's nothing alive in the river, presumably. Like, it's all just
Not after that. I don't know.
yeah. So yeah, there's the environmental cost, but apparently it's all vegetable based. But I don't know, man. So, Aidan, quick question here. Can you see the people of Ireland spending that much money to dye the River Liffey green for a few hours?
Absolutely not.
It's like, okay. You guys might be noting a little trend here. I just, yeah. Now, my last...
Irish, like the Scottish always get labelled as being very cheap, but the Irish are not too far behind them in that regard. So they famously, in the build-up towards the millennium coming into the being or whatever, started to 2000, like a lot of the countries around Europe started building like loads of really cool buildings to sort of commemorate the millennium coming into.
Yeah.
And like so in Wales they have the Millennium Stadium, like a beautiful indoor rugby stadium, and they have the Millennium Dome in London, and then in Ireland they have a spike. This just big needle sending in the middle of the O'Connell Street.
Like how big is it?
It's pretty tall, but it's the most ugly thing you've ever seen in your life.
Just a spike.
And it's just a spike, like a big aluminium spike in the middle of the street.
Oh, man. And what city is this in?
It's in Dublin.
It's in Dublin.
It's in Dublin, yeah. So yeah, it's just like, God, is that really what we came up with? Like,
I can't wait to go check it out.
yeah,
Hey man, Edmonton's got a giant baseball bat.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
So
And a big pile of shiny balls.
yeah, they go together.
I guess
Yeah.
they do. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I never
should
put
be
two and two
closer.
together before.
they should be closer. It's gonna be a long throw.
Have you guys been to Ireland before?
Nope.
Okay, Greg, have you been to Ireland before? No. Oh man. Okay. I could go on for hours about that. And every time I run into Aidan, I was like, "Oh, I loved Ireland so much." But yeah, it's just such an incredible place. Yeah. I guess it just makes me think like I can see them spending $190,000 on like getting in like some huge band or throwing like a giant party or whatever. But this to me, I don't know. Yeah.
It's pretty special what Chicago does, and like a lot of the North American cities that have huge Irish communities, like the Boston, New York, Ottawa. Oh, apparently the parade in Ottawa here in Canada is supposed to be absolutely amazing. Like, but yeah, some of those cities more on the East Coast definitely have a strong Irish community, so they're very strongly associated with like St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was reading this thing and I didn't include it here, but the first St. Patrick's Day parade ever was in New York in like 1720 something.
Oh, really?
So like before. I don't really know my American stuff. I shouldn't say this, but maybe before America was a country. They were the country in
What did you
sometime.
say it was?
That's strange.
1720.
That was before the Great Famine of Ireland, though. Like that's quite a bit away. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the main Irish immigrants who went to like North America was around. Like I think the famine was like 1859 or something like that, 1845. So that there would have predated that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's strange.
Yeah. And I mean that could be one of those things that I'm just like kind of confusing after reading all this stuff. But yeah, I was reading that and I was like, holy smokes. Like it wasn't in Ireland. It was, which kind of makes sense though. Like you get a bunch of Irish people together and they want to have a little parade and they're living out of the country doing whatever. And it could have been early people. I don't even think New York was New York at that point. I think it was still whatever it
Just
was
York.
previously. No, it was
New Amsterdam.
it was New Amsterdam.
New
Yeah.
Amsterdam, yeah.
Well, wasn't the famine during the Civil War?
The American Civil War.
The American Civil, like the Irish famine was happening during the American Civil War.
Couldn't.
I'm not sure if the.
Because I know a lot of
yeah.
immigrants who were coming into New York at that time were being thrown into the American not the Union Army.
That's what happened in Gangs of New York.
Gangs of New York, yeah, they got off the boat and
It was super
in New York
accurate for
and,
the time that it was.
Oh, man.
and then just given an army to go fight down south, yeah, straight away.
Yeah.
Speaking of Gangs of New York, so Martin Scorsese's new movie is The Irishman.
The Irishman, yeah,
Yeah. And I guess Robert De Niro's a big ginger Irish guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, just filling people with lucky bullets.
I can see that. little nuggets of gold.
Yeah, they're not bullets.
Yeah, I think
They're
it's going.
nuggets of
I think
gold.
it's going straight to Netflix. Yeah, that movie.
I think Netflix is putting the money into it, but I would be shocked if it didn't get at least some kind of theatrical release.
Yeah,
because it's probably just if it's. I mean, the anticipation is huge, so theaters would be remiss to not be like, we should have this in for
2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. Just make $1 billion. Cool. All right, my last little thing here is Guinness is inextricably linked these days to Ireland, Irish culture, and in particular, St. Paddy's Day. We're actually drinking some Guinnesses, some Guinnesses. Oh, there he is. Just slamming them back. Is it Guinnesses?
Guinnesses, yeah.
Guinnesses. We're
Yeah.
drinking Guinnesses. Okay. Yeah.
You sure it isn't like a moose?
That's it. Yeah. Guinness. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm gonna go grab the Guinness.
Maybe it's just Guinness. We're drinking Guinness. I think it's just Guinness. Like
Guinness,
collective.
Yeah,
is
Guinness
also
is
plural.
acceptable, yeah.
So I'm going to try not to give
I
my
like that
opinion.
we solve the tough problems here on this podcast.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done it. We've solved all the world's problems. It's
Sweet.
Guinness,
Yeah.
plural.
It is Guinness.
You're welcome,
Now,
world.
On to legalizing same-sex marriage. Sorry, what? No, back to Guinness. Sorry, I'm going to try not to give my opinion, but this beautiful, life-giving stout brewed in the beautiful city of Dublin, shipped around the world to beautiful people of fine taste everywhere, is consumed as tradition, even by people who don't typically identify as beer drinkers, stout fans, etc. all the time, even not on St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, there are better stouts. I know we've talked about this as well. Yeah, not to besmirch Guinness, but are you?
Way to throw me under the bus.
No, I don't mean to, man. No, I know, but we talked about this earlier, and I'm a Guinness guy through and through. Like, I'm like, at the end of the day, like, I just love having a Guinness. Is not something I'm gonna like. It's not like a barbecue beer where I'm gonna have like a whole bunch in a row and kind of stumble around. But like
It's too slow of a drink to do that.
it is. It's not really a hot day drink either, is it?
No.
Yeah.
It's delicious, but
Great way Edmontonians love it so much because it's winter here all the fucking time.
It's about 10 months a year. It's snow on the ground.
I heard a really good fact about Guinness actually a few weeks ago. It was a quiz that was at, and they were asking, the question was to the nearest sort of 1,000 mark or whatever, how many pints are brewed in one batch of Guinness? Like how many did they make with one batch? How many pints? How many do you think they might make?
In a batch
With
of
one
Guinness.
batch, yeah, one batch.
to the nearest 1,000, you say?
Yeah. But it's quite high.
10,000.
I would say 30,000.
A lot higher. I should probably go. It's
Should I
like
just
through the
throw
roof.
out the 500,000
It's 2,300,000, 304,000
in one batch?
It's insane. Like, yeah,
Greg wins.
Yeah.
with the,
With 1.5 million.
Price is right rules.
that's
so-
right. Price is right rules.
2 million. Holy.
Closest price without going over.
Yeah. Apparently the worldwide on St. Patrick's Day, it is estimated around 13 million pints are consumed. Yeah. 13 million pints. And how many pints does a standard keg hold?
Usually 88. Yeah.
88.
88,
Okay.
yeah.
Those people at Guinness, their website said something about 124. Are they lying again?
Don't think so. Like, you do get the 50-litre kegs and then the 59-litre kegs, but I think the Guinness keg is a 50-litre keg, so that would be 88, I think.
Okay.
Maybe the kegs in Ireland are a bit bigger. I'm not sure. Like, but yeah.
Okay.
120 seems a bit much.
Yeah, and that's I saw that and I was like, man, that's a lot. By that math, it was 105, roughly 105,000 kegs are emptied. Charlie, do you have a calculator over there?
I get this abacus.
Okay, just get the abacus fired up.
I gotta reset it
You got to do some
and
clicks.
push all these buttons.
Okay, now
over
you
here.
do you have 13 million on the top row of the abacus? Here's another one. If I have 3 abacuses, is it abaci? What are we doing here?
Yet again, I think it's abacus.
Isn't that ironic
Abacus.
that it's hard to count how many abacuses you have? You're like, I couldn't tell you. I can't count. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
If you have to use your auxiliary abacus.
Oxabacus. Fire up
You
the
said 13
Oxabacus.
million, right?
13 million divided by 80.
80, I'll say 88.
88. Eric Lindros, 88. There we go.
Here's your magic number.
Oh, 147,727.273
Kegs.
273 kegs of the black stuff. And that's on one day.
One day, yeah.
Oh, that's a lot.
Wow.
Okay, now, Aidan, do Irish people typically drink Guinness on St. Paddy's Day?
Yeah, they drink it every day. So
that was my second question.
That they don't make no difference.
It's just another day. And
I guess only the days that end.
Oh, I have to drink it today. It's St. Patrick's Day. Oh, you had 10 pints yesterday and 10 days the day before. I better have 15 today then.
Now, really briefly here, without giving away any trade secrets, you're a bartender?
Yes.
Okay. Is that the preferred nomenclature?
Bartender?
Bartender?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Now, how do we pour a perfect pint? Pour a perfect pint.
Well, it takes 119.5 seconds to pour the perfect pint. And,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. 90-degree angle for the pint. Pour it to within It depends on the draft systems and stuff, but yeah, probably up to the little harp logo on the glass of Guinness that every bar should have. But if you go to a bar and they don't have a Guinness glass, then they shouldn't be serving Guinness. Simple as that. But yeah, you should be pouring it to sort of halfway up the harp symbol on the front of the Guinness glass. Let it settle until it basically turns black, and then you top it off. And be pushing the tap handle back towards the customer, and then yeah, that's it. And always present the Guinness glass emblem logo facing out towards the guest, and yeah, that should be a good perfect pint of Guinness.
Look at
Nice.
that!
Yeah.
Wow, right
You don't
on.
have to do any of the 4-leaf clover bullshit on top.
I'm terrible doing that. Like I don't even try to do it.
So that's just an unnecessary step.
It's unnecessary. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
I'm friends with there was a guy in Edmonton in the 90s, and I'm kind of dating myself, but it was just right around when I had turned of legal age here. And he was really good at doing the 4-leaf clover. And as a joke, he would draw stickmen with like funny anatomy in your. He'd be like, "There's your pint of Guinness," and it'd be like a stickman with like,
You go peener.
yeah, just yeah, pretty funny stuff. Okay, now third question. We the second follow-up question was going to be, do you guys drink Guinness every day? And so the follow-up question here is, can you believe the Feast of St. Patrick, since it was originally a religious holiday, pubs were closed in Ireland on St. Patrick's Day up until the late 1970s. So is that shocking? Because when I read that, I'm like, just a minute here. Hold up a second. What?
Yeah, well, like if you think of modern day Ireland, then you definitely wouldn't believe that. But if you think of like old, like 50s, 60s, 70s Ireland, and like a completely Catholic run society, and the church completely ruled the roost in the country, so they had the last stop with everything. So the pubs close on Good Friday is another day when the bars are always closed as well.
Yeah.
And it's funny because St. Patrick's Day usually falls in the middle of Lent, which is like the hardest. You're supposed to go 40 days without like drinking beer or whatever, and then they throw St. Patrick's Day in the middle of it, so it's like the biggest temptation ever to
Yeah, thanks
to break
the
it.
devil.
Wow. All right. I totally forgot. I'm a Protestant here.
Thanks a lot, the devil.
We're in a 75%.
Protestants still celebrate Lent, just so you know.
I'd never heard of Lent until I got married to my lovely wife. Yeah, but I mean, I think it depends on the whole thing. Yeah. Not that we're not going to touch on that.
No, another day, another topic.
It's a different podcast.
So we're going to solve all religious differences as well. Okay, Charlie. Subject number 2.
Yes.
If you're a good person, do you go to heaven when you die?
Maybe.
Okay,
I'm kind of a reincarnation guy, so I just become someone else.
become someone else.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Someone or something.
Or something, depending.
I've seen your aura before. We've talked about this.
Yeah. That's right. I am always around. My whole life's, plural life's mission is to always be around you.
Is it Charlie's or Charlie?
No, it's Charlie is also the
Are
plural.
you always a Charlie?
Yeah.
Okay. No, our real second subject is whatever it was I said before. Something about who was St. Patrick.
Who was St. Patrick? No, really. But who was he?
Who was that guy?
Who was he?
So his name wasn't St. Patrick, or his name wasn't Patrick at the start when he was born. He wasn't born Patrick. It wasn't his name at all.
They didn't name him St. Patrick.
Well,
and then
it does Saint, but like,
coincidentally-
his name wasn't even Patrick when
No.
he was born.
First name Saint, last name Patrick.
Yeah.
What? Well, conveniently, we've got some handwritten. This looks
Do
fantastic.
tell.
It looks terrible.
Just-
Actually, looks like the dog wrote
You
it.
scan that.
I'm not gonna lie. This looks like Aidan had a pen, like maybe put up his bum, and they were like, "You better write this out, or we're gonna shoot you."
This is, I followed 2 days of drinking, so that's why it's like looking like a
As long as you can read it, you must be a doctor.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got?
Well, his name was Maewyn Sucat, and he's born in 385 AD. That name is Welsh origin. A lot of people believe he was born in Wales. Looking back through some of the notes on Wikipedia and stuff like that there, it looked like he was born in Cumbria in England, actually, but the whole island was Britannia at the time. So, so he lived there until he was 16. He was taken into slavery by Irish pirates.
That sounds awesome.
It just sounds amazing. Like,
Sold.
Yeah.
Whoever this guy is, that's amazing.
Where's that movie?
I never even heard of Irish pirates before. Like I just, so I was like bombarded with
Underrepresented. That's all there is to that.
Their slang street name is Pirish.
Oh yeah.
Good Lord.
He was.
Oi.
He,
Sorry about that.
His little village. It was attacked, and he was taken and sold to some druid master back in Ireland.
Care for another pint?
Jeez, Andrew.
You're supposed to get it in your glass, man.
Yeah, I tried to.
Yeah, guy, we'll take that other one.
Yeah, thought so.
Some major spillage going on over here.
Yeah.
We're real excited over the Pirish.
So yeah, he basically served with this druid master for 6 years. He was in captivity. So he was born a pagan in Britannia.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool. They always had the best rituals. Everyone ripped them off.
One of the constant themes of our specials is how the pagans just always show up, and it's like, you better stop. Remember the zombie gladiators?
Yeah.
You better stop celebrating that.
So yeah, he eventually fled the master in Ireland before heading back to Britain. He studied in a monastery and stayed there for 12 years. He felt his calling card was to go back to Ireland eventually and to try and convert all the pagans in Ireland to Christianity. So he adopted his Christian name, which was Patricius.
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 That's
I see where this is going.
Yeah, so then that obviously translates it's Patrick, and then that's where he got his name from. So he returned to Ireland, and he was appointed a bishop upon return to Ireland. After apparently he arrived back into the same port in Wexford where he had left initially. He boarded some ship and he pleaded with the owner of the ship to take him across the sea back to Britain. And then when he came back to Ireland, apparently he came back in through the same port. The villagers who lived in that village weren't very welcoming, so he continued his journey up through Ireland, and by all accounts he seemed to settle in the north part of Ireland in Armagh, and then he eventually died in Down. But so he travelled throughout Ireland and he established loads of schools and monasteries and churches and stuff, and left his mark for sure. He was going back to see his old master, the guy who had him in captivity for 6 years, where most of the things he was doing, he was like a shepherd looking after the flocks of sheep and farm animals and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy, but and he didn't really hold a grudge for this guy when he was going back to sort of approach him. And apparently he might have had some ransom to pay this guy back because he fled and he basically escaped his captivity when he was there initially. So being the good soul that he was, he tried to go back to this guy and pay him the money that he felt like he was owed. But the master was like, he had he had a lot of pride, and when he heard that St. Patrick was on his way to meet him, he gathered all his treasures and jewels and took him into this huge mansion which he resided in. And the pride just literally got the better of him, and he didn't want St. Patrick to have the upper hand. And he basically burned the mansion and then threw himself into the flames and burned himself alive. So that was a good little nugget, I thought, of information. Yeah. So another one of the big facts you'll hear often about St. Patrick, one of the myths, is that he drove the snakes out of Ireland.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. So, Ireland is not exactly the destination where you would expect to see boa constrictors or pythons or anything like that. But apparently the snakes were a metaphor for paganism, and he basically drove the paganism out of Ireland, and that was referring to, apparently. So he worked in Ireland for 30 years, and he died on March 17th, 461 AD. So March 17th, as you know, is the day that St. Patrick's Day is celebrated throughout the world. So that's the day that he died. Let me see. So and one of the things that are often said about him is that he was canonized. When was he canonized? And the fact of the matter is he was never canonized, and it was basically back then. Canonization wasn't really a thing back in the 5th century. It was more of your local bishop or your local clergyman would self-appoint anybody as a saint themselves, and then it wasn't really a thing to be canonized by a pope until the 12th century. So he was never formally, officially canonized to be a saint, but he is in the list. If you look through the list of saints, he's on there as a saint. So it's just like an unwritten one, if you like. But He's said to be buried in Downpatrick, which is in County Down in Northern Ireland, along with the two other patron saints of Ireland, which are Saint Bridget and Saint Columba. Again, there's no formal proof of, or, the bones on the ground are his or whatever. So it's one of those things that they claim. They do have a museum or like some sort of centre there where they, a history of St. Patrick and stuff in the same town as that. So yeah, that's a brief little history of who St. Patrick was and how he became to be an Irish patron saint. So that was it.
Damn.
That's very cool. That's good. Mm-hmm. Was he? So this is, man, once again, I'm like pulling history out of my head here. He would have been, you said 385? He was, when was the Irish Pirates? We gotta go back to that for a second.
Yeah.
Just momentarily. The Pirates?
The Pirates, that was, when was he born again? He was born, 385 was when he was born. So he was 16. And apparently he was not he's a bad little brat when he was growing up. And when he was, another thing I noticed when I was reading up about it, he was when he was in Ireland initially during the 6 years of captivity, he was very spiritual. He was talking to God a lot, and God basically forgave him his sins, and he spoke to him in an apparition or whatever, and told him that what his path was going to be, and he told him that he would go and become a Christian, and a servant of God or whatever, and then. So I guess it was upon him then to come back and cleanse Ireland of the pagan.
Right. Chase out the pagans.
Take out the pagans, yeah.
But they were the pagans at the time were practicing like human sacrifice and stuff like that. So one of the fancy things about Ireland I've always loved, I think it's shrouded in a bit of mystery, is there's human settlements in Ireland that predate the pyramids.
Yeah.
Newgrange?
Newgrange, yeah. Newgrange. Newgrange apparently predates Stonehenge as well, which is the big monument in southern England. But yeah, apparently Newgrange predates the pyramids and a bunch of other things too. Yeah.
Yeah, but sorry, and that's kind of an aside. The question was when he was a slave with the pirates. That's just I keep getting back to that. But that's amazing. That would have been like,
so the pirates didn't hold him as their slave. They sold him to this druid master, if you like. But the guys who the pirates or whatever, like, maybe that was their, I don't know what their aim or their ethos was back at the time, but
but this would have been during Roman occupation of
yeah, it would have been, yeah. It would have been, yeah.
So that's like, I mean, right there, that's just incredible. That would explain why, like, getting formally canonized and bishops and sort of official things were a little hard to come by if the entire country was under Roman rule for probably a while after that.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of Hadrian's Wall.
Books, yeah, Hadrian's Wall. The Vikings had their time in Ireland too. They raped and pillaged their way through the country like everywhere else in Europe. Ireland, one of those places that has always been under some sort of rulership from an invader, if you like, and English more recently. But there
we go.
Yeah.
Have you heard the theory that so there was aliens that maybe came to Earth, and one of they had babies with human people, and one of the lingering trademarks, and this is going to speak our language here, is the presence of red hair. So it was this is going back to our Ancient Aliens episode, but that's one of the theories is that where red hair comes from, the remaining strands of alien DNA, and that we're actually the chosen people domineering all these scumbags here.
I love that it took a redheaded person to come up with that theory too.
It probably did.
Back you up.
Yeah. No. Okay. Cool. Well, that is fantastic.
That was great.
So here we go. Now, before we get into this, Charlie, have you ever had black pudding?
No.
You don't? Okay.
I don't know
now,
what it is.
I have to point this out. I texted Charlie a little while ago, and I'm like, we're going to talk about black pudding.
You asked me this,
and
I said no, and you asked you made me promise
Yeah.
a blood oath to not look it up.
No, that's good. But your response was, and it's, we probably shouldn't read many of our texts aloud.
Our text conversations? No.
certainly not.
Yeah,
No,
definitely not.
But this one, I was like, that is so funny. I
They
was
would
like,
see our relationship in a whole other light.
Well, if you didn't look it up, Charlie, we have to commend you for your patience and your just not doing it because
I've also got a really short attention span. So I forgot real quick.
you would have locked the front door if you had read it up in it. Not let us in tonight.
Awesome.
But I said, have you ever heard of black pudding? And he said, no. And I said, do you have any idea what it might be? And he said, is it a genre of porn?
I remember that, yeah.
Could be.
Anyways, here's 6 fun facts about black pudding.
Black pudding, yeah. 6 bullet points about black pudding. Black pudding, I guess, initially became sort of the oldest sort of tracking or history of black pudding was the 15th century, and it was initially so basically it's pig's blood mixed with a bunch of other things, usually barley or oats, and some herbs and spices. That's essentially what black pudding is. Initially, back in the 15th century, it was more commonly sheep and cow's blood that were also used for making the recipes. But nowadays, yeah, it's mostly pork blood. One of the 15th century recipes used blood of a porpoise, which apparently is a seal, an animal, a marine animal.
A porpoise?
A porpoise, yeah. I didn't know what that was when I
Good.
was reading up on it.
Heavens.
Yeah. It's related to the dolphin family, apparently.
Yeah, porpoise.
Yeah. I didn't know what that was.
It's a giant fish.
Yeah.
Giant fish.
Wow.
Ace Ventura.
So yeah, that was the.
Thank you.
That's where I get all my facts from, yeah.
I think this recipe was reserved only for like noblemen and people of that ilk. It was common for folks to not let any part of the pig go to waste at all when it first become a thing, like including the blood. Animals are generally bled at slaughter. Making a pudding with it is basically the easiest way to make sure you're using every bit of the animal so it doesn't go to waste. So that was one of the things.
So it was a food made out of necessity to like, we need to eat whatever we have right now.
Well,
Everything that's left over.
yeah,
Can't waste,
basically,
you can't waste that shit.
You can't waste anything. So, like, one of the things I seen was, it was common not just for like butchers to have animals, but a common poor guy in the street, he would have a pig, and he was for his family. Like, so he would use this pig to feed his family for God knows how long. Like, and so yeah, maybe that was one of the things that the black pudding, the inception of it was that they would use the blood. To make as much food out of it as they could. The natural casings of beef intestine were initially used to wrap it around it and preserve it. Nowadays, it's synthetic cellulose. Very limited ingredients are used to make to thicken the blood and to make it into what the pudding actually consists of. So oats and barley and mint, thyme, ginger, and other spices are some of the things that you typically go into it. Some of the places that black pudding was born, Yorkshire, Lancashire, Stornoway in Scotland apparently has a really rich history of producing great black pudding. Cork in Ireland. So these are some of the places that were notable for having like black pudding areas or whatever you might say. In Canada, Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, when Irish and people from Scotland and England, Ireland and Wales and stuff immigrated there back in the 16th, 17th century. Those areas are still considered to have, they know what that's part of their local cuisine in Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and Canada. So
Greg's from out east.
Yep.
Did
It's a big thing. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've killed a pig and bled it out, and then we make blood sausage after we clean out everything.
nice.
Yeah.
There we go. I don't know how that didn't make it out here. Maybe it's horrific, but
I think everything was like it's not like you guys. It's like blood pudding. You guys don't put it in intestines, like or originally wasn't put in intestine.
Okay.
and then linked
Right.
like the
and
casings.
then linked like it would
Yeah.
be like
Yeah,
I think that was more of like a French,
Oh, really?
French thing. Yeah.
Okay. The funny story I was telling Andrew a few days ago was that I was flying back into Canada a few years ago after I was back in Ireland for a wedding, and my two brothers, one of my brother and my friend, they both worked in this butcher's back in Ireland, and they got in contact with the butcher and told him that I was going back home, and if possible, could he make up a couple of big slabs of black pudding and white pudding for me to take back out to Canada. I knew that it was probably like a dicey move to try and do that, try and undertake it, but I went ahead and thought I'd try it anyway, and roll the dice with it. So I went down to the butcher, and I was expecting like a little round thing that he would have made up and that would have been able to hide in my luggage somewhere. But he presented me with these two huge big round things of white pudding and black pudding, and they were just huge,
like baseball bats.
Yeah, just 3/4 of the size of a baseball bat. Let's just say that
something you'd club a seal with.
It was insane, but it looked absolutely delicious, and I thought, okay, if I can pull this off, it'll be miraculous and it'll be amazing, and we'll sit down to a beautiful breakfast on the Saturday morning or whatever. But so I was going through. It was funny because the port of entry going back into Canada was in St. John's in Newfoundland, which was kind of ironic enough, given that there was an area that they would have known what black pudding was. If I had to come back in, say, through Calgary or Edmonton, it might have not been the case. But I went in through the airport and I signed out basically the immigration form coming in or whatever, saying, are you carrying any goods or any foods on you? And I didn't. I thought it's not worth it. The closer I got to Canada in the plane, I thought it's not worth trying to get kicked out of the country for smuggling in 2 bits of food. So I just was honest in the card, and I was like, yes, I do. And then underneath it's like, have you ticked yes, then what was it? So I wrote it what it was, and then I showed the immigration officer upon landing in St. John's, and he asked me to bring it out and show it to him, and then he couldn't believe it as well. Like, he was like, what the fuck is that? He knew what it was, but he was like, he'd never seen anything as big as this in his life, and he couldn't believe that I had tried to pull this off. So
he should have beat you with it.
I was like, is there any chance you can, you look the other way? And he started laughing at my face. And
look, man, you can have half.
Yeah. I told him, I was like, okay, if I'm not going to be able to take it home with me, then you should totally take it home yourself and cook it for your wife for breakfast tomorrow. And he goes, oh, what do you think this is like? So he laughed at me, and he's like, no, don't worry about it. You're not going to get in trouble. But it's going in the pile. It's going in the waste pile out the back. And I was like, it was very heartbreaking, to be honest with you.
You should have just said no.
I mean, that's
No, I got nothing.
Yeah, I know. I keep thinking about that, and then but you don't know. I don't know, if they X-ray the bags nowadays or whatever.
Oh man, you're not getting that
crazy.
through. There's no way.
Crazy nowadays.
Especially like that's easy to flag. It's like a big. I think the technical term is a chub. A chub. No, I know that sounds like a funny word, but I think it's a chub of black pudding is what
chub. Yeah,
was what. So you're not gonna sneak a couple of chubs into they're gonna be like, no, sorry, man, you can't have that. Yeah.
So
you're lucky he didn't pull it out and just
shove it up my ass.
I was gonna say beat you to death with it, but
we were all thinking it.
Yeah, but at the same time, it was like, if you got your what do you call it, Canadian residency coming up, you can't mess around with that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, it was before I got my residency, and it was naive and stupid of me to even consider doing it. But what the fuck?
They're like, you've been paying your taxes and you're a good citizen, but what is this about a chub incident in the St. John's airport?
So another thing about the pudding as well, it's actually considered strangely one of the superfoods nowadays as well. The healthy nuts out there probably won't agree with that, but it's high in protein, it's low in carbohydrates, it has it's high in zinc and iron as well. But it does have a lot of fats in there too. So, apparently it's really good for that. Sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
I was going to say that's got to be a lot of the superfoods are typically very vegan friendly.
Yeah,
and black pudding is kind of the opposite of
just trying to sneak in there and sit in the corner But
we're not anti-vegan by any stretch. But I'm
do what you want.
Yeah, do what you want. If you want to deny yourself that, then
more meat for me.
Yeah, yep. But it's one of those things where it's like this is about as far away from the vegan diet as you can possibly get.
The one main sort of difference between maybe Greg and shed more light on this, given the sector of industry that he's in, but one main difference between black pudding and white pudding is just the fact that the blood is in the black pudding and not in the white, and most of those ingredients are fairly similar.
I was going to ask about that. So there is, just to clarify, there is black pudding and white pudding.
Yeah.
And they're not different genres of porn. Charlie's always got a
interracial food porn.
The racist thing.
Not what Pornhub says.
I would. Yeah. If you please don't look this up. But that's the
white
kind
pudding
of
was the sequel to black pudding.
So there's white pudding and there's black pudding.
White pudding and black pudding. So traditionally, the way you would eat them would be like a full English fry-up or a full Irish breakfast. Like, you know, you would have them along with other more regular sausages, eggs, hash browns, beans, tomato, you know, the whole works. But that is typically what you would have, how you would eat it. There are other ways of eating it too, like maybe more fancy chefs have found different ways to do it these days, but traditionally that's the best way you would indulge in black or white pudding. Yeah.
But I mean, this is what I mean. Like, you got black pudding, and you're like, white pudding just doesn't have the blood. But it's like, that's kind of the key. It's like, oh, this ketchup doesn't have tomatoes. So like, what does white pudding have that would? And maybe I don't know if you guys team up on the answer, but what would white pudding have as opposed to black pudding? Like, if it doesn't have blood, does it have some other organ secretion? Is it mucus or something?
I think it's more oatmeal-y. I think to make it doesn't. If you're partial to not wanting to eat like dried blood, then you maybe tend to go for white pudding more so. But once you get your head around the idea that it's actually delicious, then yeah, it's good to have both of them. But yeah, Greg.
Well, my classic training is the French, so there's boudin blanc, which is the white, and that's usually like just white rice and like fish and whatever, and the boudin noir, which would be like your pig's blood and rice and like herbs and spices and vegetables and stuff.
But like same casing, same
casing, same everything,
same spicing.
Looks pretty, like the shape and the style look exactly the same. Just the color is different. Yeah,
one's dark and one's white.
Like a pale hue for the white.
I've always, I mean, this is one of those kind of like, you never know what's going to be blasphemous or not. But when I was in Ireland, I was like, if I had a blindfold on, I don't think I'd be able to tell the difference. Like, it wasn't like one was fish. They both tasted great, and I'm like, this is amazing. And I was trying to be like, is it like Fruit Loops? Like the green one tastes different than the red one, but only when you see it. And I couldn't tell the difference at all. And yeah, I was always like, my cousin was like, oh, well, that's because like white pudding has like lungs and brains and bones, and I'm like, I don't think that's why it is that, but maybe, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen like an animal brain before. It's not white. It's like a pinkishly. I don't know if I want to continue going on to describe it. We're about to lose a lot of listeners.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I will. Let's bear that point in mind and come back to it in a couple minutes here. We're not gonna eat brain, Charlie. We're not gonna eat brain, but we're not zombies here.
I mean,
yeah, like I want to absorb all the knowledge I can, and that's how you learn things quickly.
Power.
Yeah, you eat the brain.
It's not Starship Troopers.
Yeah, that's why I don't wear glasses. I eat eyeballs all the time.
The last little point about black pudding there was a fun fact. In the 1980s, a competition started in a town called Ramsbottom in England. Yeah. So you want
again, not a porn genre, Charlie.
It was.
That's what you think.
See how many black bottoms you can ram in your bottom. Black puddings you can ram in your bottom. They started the World Black Pudding Throwing Championships in this town, and it takes place every September. Still
Did you
goes
say
on.
Throwing?
Yeah, so they throw. So in England, there's a big rivalry between people from Lancashire and people from Yorkshire. War of the Roses is the thing that they often refer to it as. So this invokes that rivalry. So basically, people from Lancashire throw black pudding at Yorkshire puddings from people from Yorkshire, and it's a very fun festival. So we're lighthearted and stuff like. But yeah, that goes on every September every year. So it might be one bucket list item there. Yeah,
that might be. I'd be partial not to be like, yeah, I'll throw it, and just like, kind of. I just feel bad throwing it, but
grenade it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, man. That's
quick
very, very
rundown.
cool.
Nice.
Okay, cool.
So now do we get to eat some black pudding?
I was going to say, all this talk, all this buildup.
Well, the first thing we got to do here is we do have a snack time, and I'm excited as our specials always. There's one thing I have to clarify. I've had a couple of people ask me about this. It's like these specials seem to be all about like reading like summaries from Wikipedia or whatever, and then eating a bunch of gross things. Sometimes Charlie throws up. You never know what's going to happen. But this is usually our the way that we fit in the alternative accounts, legends, myths, etc. And the culture around food is always fascinating. Like there's always really, really interesting things. And black pudding is a perfect example of something where the more you learn about it, I think we're all on board, but a lot of people are like, that sounded great until you started talking about it, and then it's like, oh, I'm good.
Is it snack time?
It's snack time. Yeah.
Ooh, snack time.
It has a great little snack time song. Do you want to sing the snack time song?
No, snack time.
Okay, cool. We're gonna try something here called putting you in your place.
Oh,
pudding.
shit. That's clever.
Come on, right?
I like it.
All right, now on this plate I have here, I have a few small, and we'll all get a chance, but we're gonna start with Charlie here because this is the thing. So Greg went to culinary school.
Yep.
Yeah, Aidan's from Ireland, and I'm just like a lover of all these things. So I've already indulged many a time. Charlie has never actually seen black pudding that he's aware of, right?
Not that I know of.
He's never eaten it.
Not that I'm aware of.
So
Nope.
after we've talked about all these fun facts here, you kind of have an image in your head, but maybe you're not exactly sure what it is.
Right.
Okay. Now, the other key ingredient, and I cannot stress this enough, Charlie, what's your preferred term for this? You are smell deaf?
I am smell blind.
Smell blind. Okay, so Charlie is smell blind, but he can taste. So some of the things that are going to be on this plate will be blazingly obvious to anyone with a sense of smell, but Charlie's kind of like the smell version of Daredevil.
I'm damaged goods.
Yeah, his other senses are super honed, but he can't smell.
That's right.
So, yeah.
I also wear glasses, so sight's not so great either.
Can you feel things like when you put your hand on it? Like, do you have a sense of touch?
Yes.
Okay. just making sure. I don't know. Compromised here. Okay, cool. Now, what I'm going to do here is I've got a little plate, and I'll get Greg to count to 3.
Oh, I totally forgot what I was supposed to
Okay,
say.
so it's going to be 1 River Jiffy, just like Dublin. Okay, we're just doubling down on the fun here. Oh, come on. Okay, now I've got on my plate, I've got arranged a bunch of things. There's going to be A, B, C, D, E, F.
F.
Yeah, so A, B, C, D, E, F. There's going to be 6 things.
All the way to F.
Yeah, all the way to F. They're all on one plate, and you're going to look at it. You have 3 seconds to be like, I think it's
I have to
D.
make a quick judgment.
I think it's A. I think
Okay.
it's B. Yeah. Okay. And it might be or it might not be. We'll find out. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited. We haven't done a snack time in a while, so this is great. Okay.
Yeah, we haven't done snack time since the last time we did
Since about a month ago.
Charles, Greg will count to 3, and Charlie will have 3 seconds to determine which one is black pudding. Okay? Okay, and quick 3 seconds. Don't give him too much time here.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready? Okay. Voila!
1 River Jiffy, 2 River Jiffy, 3.
I didn't see what the corresponding numbers were. Letters were.
Well, I know. You got to
All right.
get some stronger glasses
All right.
on there, Daredevil.
Also, you were covering the light,
oh, sorry.
so everything was a little shady.
Yeah.
Take 2.
I know. No. This is no quarters here.
I'll try it. I'm supposed to just point to the region.
No, you're supposed to. No, you don't get to see it again. I already showed you.
No,
so
but like,
letters.
do I point to
no,
the region?
you tell me. You tell
I
me
don't know
which
what
letter.
the fucking letters were.
It was kind
A-
of hard to say.
A,
C.
B,
A
C.
to F.
Yeah, but I don't. Where this was here.
Well, I mean, you could always go with my name is Charlie, so I should start with a C.
No, but
You've got a 1 in
I
6
don't-
chance of it being
see,
the actual.
here's what I'm saying.
I'm just going to do this.
I don't recall.
Okay, lid back down.
Okay. I think D. What it looks like, and you can't see me. What do you mean you can't see me?
No, you just go ahead
Oh,
and throw
nobody
that.
else can
You
see
just
me.
throw that in your mouth and tell us what you taste.
No, tastes kind of beanie.
Beanie. Just put the whole thing in there.
whole
Let's
thing?
have at her. Yeah.
Ram it down the
I
bottom.
mean, it's not
Yeah.
it's not bad. Well, shit. It's everywhere now.
It's just ridiculous now. So Charlie
Yeah.
has chosen wisely.
Do I win?
Yes, you
Oh,
certainly did.
yeah!
Charlie chose himself a Canadian-made black pudding. I got that from the good people at O'Byrne's here in Edmonton, right on White Ave. Just fantastic. And their kitchen staff was kind enough to give me, I think it's from Irving Farms, and that's Canadian-made black pudding.
That's all right, yeah.
Good stuff. It's the real deal. It's really,
Real
really
deal.
good. Okay, cool.
Straight full of blood.
Now, Greg, I know you didn't get a chance to look at them
yeah.
very much, but without choosing D,
Okay.
okay, now you have the other letters of the first couple letters of the alphabet. Let's frame it like this.
Maybe I'll just go with the original idea. I'll go with E.
You're gonna go with E.
Yeah.
You look pretty good.
Okay, here we go. Wow, I have to forgive my hands.
Hold on.
Now just walk us through
Or
that.
maybe not.
Looks like a really sad brownie. Smells like a really sad brownie.
Well, go ahead and yeah.
2-week-old brownie. Does it taste like a sad brownie?
It tastes like a very sad brownie.
Yeah. Greg has chosen a spicy curry brownie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, spicy curry with little garam masala dressing on the top, which yeah. It's actually, I was surprised at how well
You're not allowed to do taste shit anymore.
I'm surprised
You're just banned from this.
curry and chocolate, how well it went together. Yeah. Okay. Now, Aidan, which letter would you like?
I remember the part of the plate that I thought a black pudding was in, but I'm going to say C.
C.
But I don't know if that was the corresponding letter to that area of the plate, if you know what I mean.
C, senor. Okay.
Hold on. Don't put that. Don't
No.
put that down. Pick that back up.
What's
Let's
that?
pick it back up for a second. Let's take another one of those.
There you go. Just go ahead and ram her in and tell us what you
Oh,
taste.
Jesus. Well, it's definitely not a black pudding anyway. It looks like another brownie. Looks a little bit more happier than Greg's one, but we'll see.
Yeah, it looks, yours looks like juicy.
Yeah. Tastes pretty good.
That is a classic brownie.
Aidan has chosen very wisely. This is a made by this guy.
Oh, really impressive.
Guinness infused brownie. So I reduced. This is what I was talking about on the way over.
Yeah.
I reduced a pint of Guinness and then I mixed it in with some family recipe brownie stuff and then baked her up and I was like almost in tears this morning after they'd had a chance to set and I've got enough for everybody. I was like, oh, so good.
It's sensational.
Okay, now just in the spirit of things here, I will let who wants to choose which one I will have because I already know what they are, so I'm not gonna.
Charlie, I feel like you've had to suffer through more of this than I have.
we've had.
I mean,
Oh, you
suffer, but I'm doing good. I went for a second piece.
No. Which one I have to have?
Oh, which one you have to
So
have?
we've chosen C,
C, D, and E. haven't we?
D, and E. So we have.
I'm gonna look.
A, B, and F.
No. We have A. We have A.
I'm gonna look.
You're gonna know. We have A, B, and F. Now that you're looking, yeah.
Let me look at them. And I get to pick which one. What do you guys think?
Which one's the turd?
There's no turds. I promise.
I think we have to go with F.
F looks F or A.
A. Really? Yeah.
A.
Okay. A.
A it is.
Take it.
Okay.
Take it.
Charlie has chosen poorly. This is a chocolate cake with ketchup on it. So
Eat it.
yeah,
Last laugh. Belongs to
Literally.
Charlie.
I get to eat a piece of chocolate cake with ketchup on it.
Yeah, jerk.
The fates are on my side today, baby.
That is the grossest thing ever.
Chocolate cake with ketchup.
just a piece of chocolate cake with ketchup on it. It's amazing how
What a good
I
game
might
show.
I might not throw up while I'm talking about this here, but it's amazing how
It's a garbage can right there.
similar chocolate cake and brownies look to black pudding, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Mine, not yours. Mine.
That was horrific. Okay.
What was B?
Yeah, let's go through the rest.
You guys go ahead and have B.
What?
No, I'm good.
Did we do
Oh, there's three there. It's yeah.
B and F? Did we do F?
Oh right. Okay. Let's talk about B. B really quick.
Real kick.
B once again is a Guinness infused chocolate cake.
All right.
Yeah.
So I reduced pint and then I made some chocolate cake
Yeah.
and it is just phenomenal.
It's great. I already had a bit, so
That's the brownie.
Oh, so
but
this
B
is the
B-
cake.
Yeah. And you bastards making me eat the gross stuff. That's just unfair.
Yeah. How does it feel, Andrew? How
Yeah, I
does
know.
it feel?
All right now.
Left F.
that was our last one. F, courtesy of the lovely people at Toast in St. Albert. It's this fantastic little Irish breakfast and lunch place. Have you guys ever been there before?
Yep.
Oh, we'll put a link in the episode description so you can go check it out.
Fantastic.
It's phenomenal.
They got one in St. Albert and Sherwood Park.
Yeah. Now this is so we had Charlie picked B, which was the Canadian black pudding, and F is an actual Irish black pudding. So this is flown in from Ireland, which, as Aidan explained, is like this is harder than getting like a bag of cocaine through customs. So
Was this brought here in a balloon?
this was brought here somehow. I don't know exactly how, and there's 3 of them there. You guys go ahead. Those are 3 very traditional Irish black puddings, courtesy again of the people at Toast, and it's phenomenal. Just
You had some of this before?
I have had it before.
I'm not sure how it's going to taste after the chocolate, but we'll see.
I know, just unreal.
Yeah, very good.
And this is one of those things where you got to be, I mean, and people again, while you guys are eating them, it's like, but it's one of those things where it's considered a delicacy worldwide for very good reason. Even though there's some weird stuff in it, but sausage is.
Who's to say it's weird?
Well,
It's just stuff.
a lot of congealed blood. It's a challenging.
Sounds a little
concept.
intimidating, but you get past all that. It's delicious. It's great.
That's right. You just got to set that stuff aside.
I feel super healthy.
Yeah.
Some superfood in you.
Yeah. Totally.
Feel like I could go crush a plate of nachos.
We're gonna have nachos later on. I'm so excited.
Team building nachos exercise.
I'm lactose intolerant, but I haven't had dairy in a couple days. I've saved up. I think this is how it works. You
Saved
can
up your dairy
You can
points?
skip dairy points and save them up all at once. So I'm probably gonna get the squirts tomorrow, but that's fine. That's tomorrow. Yeah. Now for our last little section here, Aidan, what are we drinking?
What are we drinking?
We are drinking an Irish whiskey. It's called Writer's Tears. It's delicious. It's smooth. It's just a great little whiskey. It's from a place in Ireland called Carlow, which is like an hour south of Dublin. That's where they make this stuff. It's very, very smooth, like vanilla, caramel. Has just a lot of beautiful little notes in it that you'll just love. So the whole thing about the Writer's Tears bottle and their sort of sell is that it's a tip of the hat to all the great Irish writers that Ireland has produced over the years, like Oscar Wilde, W.B. Yeats, James Joyce, Seamus Heaney, guys of that ilk. Their thing is that when writers are experiencing writer's block and they're struggling for inspiration to come up with something beautiful to write, they turn to a little dram, a little glass of whiskey to provide themselves with, some inspiration. And whenever they start the inspiration coming to their mind, they start crying. The tears are the whiskey tears, and the writer's tears is where they get the title of the whiskey. Indulge yourself. It's delicious. It's really smooth. Enjoy.
Thanks very much. man.
Hell yeah. This is amazing.
Cheers, gents.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Happy St. Paddy's Day.
Happy
Happy St. Paddy's
Yeah.
Day.
Oh yeah. Whiskey itself is originally Irish, is it not?
Yes.
Is it true there's that saying that they throw it around, you see it up on like Irish pubs and like posters and stuff, it's like whiskey is originally the word for water, like water of life? or
Water of
something?
life, yeah. So the oldest distillery, it said, in the world is in Ireland. It's Bushmills. Bushmills, you probably heard Bushmills before. It's up in County Antrim in the north of Ireland. Not too far away from, they do a Game of Thrones tour up there as well, where some of the locations are used up there as well for that. So, yeah, if you go to Northern Ireland, they've got a lot of good stuff going on up there right now for touring around Bushmills Distillery, the Game of Thrones tour. They filmed some of the more recent Star Wars movies there as well. So they got a lot of kind of cool things out there that you can check out. The Titanic Museum in Belfast is only like an hour away as well. So,
Yeah. When I was in Ireland, they were filming part of The Last Jedi.
yeah.
And the place that I played at in Strabane, Mark Hamill had like shown up at some point and like bought the house around and
Yeah.
came in, give everybody a drink, and then like had one drink and left and didn't didn't draw a lot of attention to himself, so he just sounded like an awesome guy. Everybody was talking about how great he was. And
Yeah, he was in all the local. I remember that I was back home shortly after that myself, and he was in all the local newspapers for doing something like that in Donegal as well, where he went into the local bars and, like, you know, just caused a huge big hoopla.
That is one smooth whiskey.
It's great.
Right then, well, thank you so much for listening, and you can find us on Twitter at Is It a Conspiracy? Our Facebook group, It's Conspiracy. Our Instagram podcast, which is being run really, really well. Our Instagram account is It's a Conspiracy Podcast. Our email account, it's conspiracy@protonmail.com. And if you're inclined, zero pressure, we're going to do this regardless, but if you'd like to help out with the costs, you can donate as little as $1 a month to our patreon.com.
Look, here's the thing. Andrew mentioned teleportation machine. If you throw in a few dollars, with your help, we can get that teleportation
We can get
machine.
it there. Yep.
We have the plans. We just have to make it. Help us out.
And for this special, and this special alone, we're doubling your dollars. Anyways, that's that'd be great if you want to. Cool. If you don't want to, that's cool too. And we appreciate it either way. So take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Good night. God bless.
Thanks for being with us, Aidan.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Cheers.
Oh, what was I laughing at now? Oh, yes, that crippled Irishman.